it's the concept of enlightenment, the concept of being present that is the most difficult for me to explain because it's so hard to explain with words. It's just like you just are. You're trying to you're trying to explain something with words that is beyond words. You're trying to comprehend it with the mind, but it's not the mind. It's something beyond the mind. It's something that is within your soul that you are experiencing from that perspective. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Universal Crystals. Today, I'm here with my boy Derek. We're going to be talking about many different things. We're not exactly sure what we're going to say, but that's what makes my best videos, when we just go off the top. We just discuss ideas. I'm sure many of you will enjoy this, and you can go follow him at The Journey Within and run his subscribers up, man. He's just starting, but he's putting out so many videos a day. I'm actually jealous of how much content he's putting out. So he deserves it, guys. Just go ahead and go over there right now and then watch the rest of the video. But I wanted to start this off with a question, something that I've been thinking a lot about recently is like, how does it feel? I don't know if he's in this place. I think he's a little bit older than me, so he's probably gone through this. How do you feel when your other friends or other people you know are like starting careers, or like they've graduated college, or like it seems like they're doing better than you? They're like, oh, I've got this job, or you get what I'm saying. It's like, it seems like everybody's doing better than you, but you want to pursue this creative path. You want to pursue your passion, and it can feel sometimes like you're not as good as other people, but you know in the long run you might be actually fulfilling your potential more than them. You might be like doing something you actually care about. So I was just interested to hear your perspective on that. Like, have you ever dealt with that? Or yeah, so go ahead.
Yeah, for sure. No, for sure, man. Yeah, I think it's important when you start this journey to, to really get good at comparing yourself to who you were yesterday, comparing yourself to, who you were the day before, not looking at others, not paying attention to some of the success that others probably are indulging in quite faster and sooner than someone like me and you are. We're pursuing a different outlet. We're pursuing a different outlet of expression. We are creatives at heart. We're entrepreneurs at heart. There's so much more that I think me and you could do. For me, I'm just starting out, and I want this to branch off into, my merchandise, coaching, a course. I want to do, 2 podcasts a week. I want to have more people on my podcast. So what's definitely going to be cool to see happen is after me and you do this, I have 2 more interviews planned. That's what it's about. It's just expanding my network, just like reaching out to people, seeing, how, if I can collab, if I can do anything to further my growth, do anything to further this process for myself, and, just relish in the journey, and, understanding that the destination will come. The journey is the prize, though. The journey is what you gotta.
The journey is the destination.
The journey is the destination. Yeah, exactly. So, it's about falling in love with the process and realizing that what you put into it is what you will get out of it. And for me, that's just been the everyday fucking grind. I've been putting out 3 pieces of clothing every day. For everybody watching this, I do have merchandise. We got just dropped merch. So definitely put the link for the website in the description. And just grinding on the videos, 5 to 6 videos a day, trying to spread this message, trying to speak from my heart, and really just spread a message and show a story. And that's what I think you did with your channel, is you wanted to show your own story and show your path, showcase your journey, and you've grown into, having a following in the thousands, which is very impressive. So it's impressive what you've done. And I think for both of us, it's because we're so young. I'm 23, you're 21, right? Yeah. It's important to understand how, just the scope and scale of time itself. It's going to take a while before we really get going, where we start really taking off, where, you have an Aaron Dowdy moment, and, you and you blow up. And Jake Ducey moments where you just blow up, and your life will never be the same, and you have that one aha moment where it was all worth it. So, and that's just what I think I've been doing. So, I mean, what about you? Is that similar with you? Like, just focusing on yourself and just relishing in the journey and not trying to focus on what everybody else is doing?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's so many people around me that are they've just graduated. Yeah, I'm about to be 22, so it's kind of like that senior year moment of college for most of my friends, where it's like they're all getting jobs now. But it's actually motivated me more because so many of them have said, like, I'm getting this office job, or I'm getting this job where I'm just like sitting at a desk, and I'm just like, I'm so terrified of that. I'm so terrified, me personally. If you want to do that, that's okay, if that's what you want to do. But for me personally, I'm so terrified of just working somewhere for my whole life and just like not creatively expressing myself and not actually sharing my gifts. Like, that's why I started YouTube so early, is because I was like, there's no time to waste. I can't just end up like, again, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but at the same time, I don't want to end up wasting my potential and just working somewhere that I don't really want to work, and just living every day in some sort of cycle where I'm just like, oh, let's just go to work, do this, I'll sit at my desk all day, and then I'll come home for my whole life. I just can't see that for myself. But it can kind of make you feel, it can make you feel ashamed. It can make you feel lonely because so many people are doing these things, and it's like, well, I don't really have much to show for what I'm doing right now. Even with the amount of subscribers I have, I don't, for a lot of some of my friends know about my channel, but a lot don't. And even if I did show them, they would think I was crazy. They would think I was an idiot. That's like, this isn't really going anywhere. And so it's a weird place to be, but I think it's the place that I need to be right now, because I'm just progressing in my own way, and I think I will actually be ahead of a lot of these people very soon. It's just a matter of time. And that's not coming from like an ego-based, like, oh, I'm better than you. It's more like I'm actually following my passion. I'm actually doing what I feel like I came here to do. And I think that will work out. But yes, I have felt a lot of pressure because of so many people seeming like they're being farther along than me. And it can be like discouraging when you're going through that. It's like, well, am I not good enough? I haven't graduated, like, I dropped a lot of classes. I screwed off in college because I didn't care about it very much, and I feel like college is a scam a lot in a lot of ways personally. So, but the next question I want to ask you is, we touched on this before, but we weren't able to post the video, so I'm going to ask you again. What kind of started your, I guess you could say, spiritual awakening journey, or just awakening to a higher level of consciousness, seeing that the world was different than you maybe once believed. What kind of sparked that for you, and how did that process go?
For me, I had a great childhood. I had a good upbringing, and I had a good life, and I was always very creative, always very curious as a kid. Um, Grew up religious, had a very fundamentalist religious household and viewpoint that I was I grew up in, you could say, and I didn't buy it. I never really bought into it. And then for me, that remained stagnant until I finished high school and I went to college. So I tried out college. I went away to college for all the wrong reasons. And jumping back a little bit in time to high school, I neglected all types of creative pursuits. I neglected myself. I neglected any type of information that semblance anything relative to what I put out now. I wasn't into any of this. I wasn't healthy. I just was focused on having fun, quick thrills, living fast, and ultimately non-spiritual life. Very non aware, very asleep type of mindset that I carried back then. And then for me, everything changed when I went away to school and I didn't do that well, and I came home. And when I came home, this was my third year in college, that's when everything started to shift. That's when everything started to change. And that was the first shift in, you could say, consciousness, was that I picked up my first Tony Robbins book, and I read it, and that was for me the first plunge into self-improvement and self-help and self-empowerment. And from there on, I started to try and be a better person. I started to try and work on myself because I realized I wasn't happy. I realized I wasn't necessarily going anywhere in life. I was lost. I didn't know what my purpose was. I didn't know who I was. And I was just fiending for some guidance and clarity within my direction in life. And then after that, that was when I started to get into meditation. So I started to meditating. I started to go into nature more. I started to do no fat. Stopped drinking, stopped smoking. And this is how it all started. And it kind of just went on from there. It was like the cultivation of a good 60, 70-day streak on NoFap, coupled with meditation and working out more in the gym and reading these types of books. It eventually got to a point where I started questioning the entire structure of my life and my belief systems. Every single one of my belief systems started to crumble. And I started to reassess my outlook on life, my outlook on what I was doing with my life, where I was going, types of behaviors that I had, types of friendships that I had, types of people that I hung around with, types of situations that I found myself in, how I felt about myself, and everything started to change. Everything started to shift. I watched Darren Dowdy for the first time. I watched Jake Ducey for the first time. I read my first, like I said, Tony Robbins book, watched my first Alan Watts video, and it started this whole shift of my sense of self. So I had an ego death. I fell into the void of nothing, and then simultaneously became everything, because that's the infinite nature of consciousness. And that was a radical experience, and I realized there was way more to perception than meets the eye. And I realized that I wasn't my ego. I was something else. I was something that was separate from the ego itself. And I realized that the only way to change your life is to change your identity, to change how you view yourself, to change your self-concept and the software of your mind. And once you change the software of your mind and you change your internal reality, then the outside is going to follow. So the inward facing path is to internally cleanse yourself and reframe your mind so that your video game controller of your mind will dictate how things are going to happen in the outside world and in your life. And it's this non-duality, there is no outside and inside. It's all one thing. 7 billion dreams happening in one consciousness. And we're all creating our own dream and our own movie. And that for me has kicked up to a point now where I took a semester off from school. I don't know if I'm going to go back. I switched my major. I moved to Florida. And I started this channel and I started this clothing line, and everything's kind of just flowing. And now I'm at the point where I'm just trying to embody the spirit more and more day in and day out, and just spread this message and just work on this channel and just hopefully reach more people with this interview that we're doing. This will hopefully get some real exposure, and will get people to notice what I'm doing, and hopefully let people enjoy my work, and just further that process day in and day out. So that's where I'm at now. For you, your own journey, your own spiritual journey kind of has taken you to make the channel, to have your own experiences and life lessons that have taught you many things. And where do you see that? Where do you see that for yourself? How do you see that right now? How are you embodying that? How does your spiritual journey look? What do you see for the channel? Do you have any plans? And who is Universal Crystals? What is that becoming? Do you see yourself continuing to evolve to new revelations spiritually? And how do you see your evolution how has it been taking place over the past year or two? How does that look for you?
I think my journey is always changing, and I think for the most part I've just been trying to be somebody that people can relate to, that are going through a similar experience of a spiritual awakening, because I know that when I started, I was more of I was really starting just to vent my thoughts. I was starting to share my experiences with other people that maybe could relate to what I was saying, and it felt very difficult. It still feels difficult. It still feels like I'm not even doing what I'm doing, no matter how many subscribers you get, no matter how many people tell you changed their life, you still have the feeling sometimes that you're not like the other people around you. If you're around people that aren't really into that, you can still feel like you're not living up to a certain expectation from society. So I think that's the next step for me, is to really go into my passion, really start helping people on a deeper level with doing coaching and stuff like that. Embody that energy more and more as I go. It's just difficult when you're first starting. There's so many people that around me that would think I'm crazy, and probably still do. It's just that's been the most difficult block for me. But as far as my spiritual awakening goes, as far as everything that's led me to this point, I had a dark night of the soul, you could say, where I went through a breakup and had my whole identity attached to this person, had my self-worth attached to this person, and like I felt like I couldn't live without them. And then I felt like the world opened up for me. I did this Aaron Doughty meditation. I felt like everything opened up. The colors were brighter, everything was different. I felt like I could actually follow my passion, which I ended up doing, which a lot of people don't. A lot of people feel that and they don't actually go for it, which I'm very grateful for, because I felt like maybe I was at such a point of I was at such a low point where I felt like I could do nothing else. That's the reason I started YouTube, you know. It's just like it just was the only thing that I could do to vent my thoughts. It was the only thing that I could do to relate to other people. And I feel like so many people have that within them. They just don't want to take that first step to actually put themselves out there, because it is very scary. And so I'm grateful that that happened. But as that went along, as that process went along, I had people come into my life that I felt like, oh, they're on the same path as me, but then they go on a different path. They do something else. What am I gonna do now? You know, it really has led me down to me and what I can do to feel the best version of myself and feel like the best version of myself. And for me, that has been just being in the present moment. I mean, it's very cliche. It's very obvious to most people that are doing this kind of thing. But when you are really in the present moment and you're not constantly thinking, I need to up this, I need to do better, I need to be better than I was the last video, I need to be better than I was the last day in what I'm doing, or I need to fix my past, I need to go back and forgive everybody, or I need to do all this, which can be helpful. I'm not going to say it's not definitely not bad to forgive people, because forgiving people can help you be a better person in your present moment. But what I'm saying is, like, for me, it's just been embodying the present moment and realizing that there's so much that I have to offer, and like just fully being present makes me so much more available to help other people. It makes me able to help other people with their past that they can't deal with, and their future that they're worried about. Being present actually helps me with that, because everything is created in the present, as we know. It's not like we can never really be in the past or the future. We just think about it, but it's all just that present moment. And whenever I'm actually present, whenever I'm actually engaged with the present moment, I have the best moments of my life. I have the best experiences of my life. And sometimes when I get out of that, I'm like, oh, I miss when I was actually present. I miss when I was just here, and I was like experiencing things in a whole new way. And I feel like I find myself in that place so many times where I'm just like thinking, like I'm like thinking about the future or thinking about the past or whatever it is. I'm just not in the present anymore. And I remember when I was in the present, I'm like, how can I get back there? But it's really not that complicated. Yeah, it's really not as complicated as we make it. It's just always here. We're always present. It's just the fact that we have these thoughts come into our head that many people believe that are them. They believe that they actually are unworthy when they feel that emotion, they see that thought, they think, oh, I need to do this to be worthy or whatever. But for me, it's just been like recognizing the fact that I am able to create the life that I want to live without trying to be something else, or like even in the spiritual space, you know, it's like you're trying to be like somebody else, or trying to live up to what someone else has done, but you're kind of cheating yourself. You're not actually expressing yourself authentically in the present moment where you are. And I've realized that so many people appreciate what I'm doing because I'm just being myself. I'm just someone that they can relate to, and that's the best thing ever. It's like that's what I started off trying to be, but for some reason a lot of people have those blocks where they're like, well, who am I to tell other people what they should do, or like try and help people when I'm still kind of going through things by myself. But I think everybody is always going through something. It's not, if you feel like you're this guru or you're like better than everyone else, I feel like that's a bit inauthentic. I feel like you should be skeptical of those people more than you're skeptical of the people that are actually kind of like just a little bit ahead of you. You don't have to be like a few steps ahead of the person that you're trying to help, which is what I've realized by doing YouTube. Is like I really just got on to express myself and tell people how I feel, but in the process I've been helping a lot of people because I'm so close to where they are and I've just overcome the things that they're dealing with. So that's kind of where I am in terms of my channel. But yeah.
Yeah. No, that was great. Right on, bro. Yeah. I think it's such a grand process of becoming your best self, your highest version of yourself. And it's an infinite process. It takes your whole life. You're never going to reach the finish line. So it's constant, ongoing, infinite creation happening in the present moment outside of time that when you tap into it with your consciousness. So you transcend the mind to, like I said before, fall into the present moment. And when you're in that present moment, it's a doorway into eternity. And this is the most recent vid on my channel is quotations I, like the letter I, quotations, is a doorway to eternity. And it talks about how that I, that sense of being myself, the inner space of I, is the doorway into your truest self, which is in the present moment and connected to, like, it's like you're connected to a wellspring of creativity and genius and intelligence. And that's what I feel like my channel has been. My channel has been me getting the hell out of the way for God to come through me and speak and spread whatever message that is trying to be spread on the channel. So that's all my videos, I feel, have been like that. They've been channeled, brought through by the universe at large. And it's just been exciting to see growth each and every day, like just more subscribers, more feedback, making sales with the merch. People like the merch, people like the clothes. Seeing that feedback, that's capitalism. That's the beauty of capitalism, is that what you put out into the marketplace is gonna respond and show you if it's good, show you if it's worth putting more of your time into, because it's making money and people like it, people enjoy it, and people want to see more of it, and that's what I feel the utility is, and the ingenuity is behind YouTube. And it's such a creative tool. It's such an amazing tool to be used, because you could put yourself out there in a way that allows you to tap into different types of niches and different sectors of the space online, the online space, social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, YouTube, all these things, putting yourself out there, growing something organically, reaching out to other YouTubers like I did with you, and we were able to do this, and just branching out in so many different types of ways that allows you to grow and blossom into all that you can be. And it's just day in and day out, doing the work, winning the day, you win the week, you win the month, you win the year, you compound that, you change your whole life, But it all starts with the day. And like you said before, it all starts with being in the present moment at large, you know?
I know this is something we talked about last time we talked, but we weren't able to put it on video. What do you think about the idea of your life purpose or your purpose? Do you have anything to say about that?
Yeah, for sure. So that's something that I constantly talk about. And I frame it in a way like this. I frame it in a way in which people can relate to their purpose in terms of their identity. So who they are as a person, their uniqueness as an individual, and a individualized, unique expression of life in this human form that you're embodying that you will never get again. And what you're good at and what you're drawn to when you improve yourself, when you improve the body, mind, and the spirit, your purpose will your purpose will find you. Your purpose is going to find you. Your purpose is you're going to be attracted to your purpose, and your purpose will reveal itself. That's the beauty about life. That's the mystery about life, is that life takes care of life. Life knows what to do. Like, for real. Life actually knows what it's doing, and the universe knows what it's doing. Everything's happening perfectly. Everything's happening exactly how it was supposed to happen. And the perfection of reality is so perfect and so mind-blowing that it's a perfection that allows for free will. So we're allowed to have free will, or at least the illusion of free will, that we're directing our lives and we're making choices. And we are pursuing our own individualized greatness within our own dream, within this dream of reality. And that could be happening, or it could be not happening. Everything could be like a DVD. Like, there was a DVD and God put the DVD in the universe, and this is the movie playing out. You know, it could be like that. It could be just happening spontaneously. It's like a spontaneous unfoldment that you could either be connected to or not connected to. And, you know, I feel like your purpose is going to be first of all, realizing that, okay, you're alive, I'm alive, so I woke up today, so there's a reason why I'm here, and I don't have to find the reason, I have to find me. You have to find the self. You have to find the inner self, the inner quietness, and look within and find out who you are. Figure out what life is. Figure out why you're here. Figure out what it's all about. Like, these are not lofty, abstract questions that have no meaning or have no answer. Like, you could figure out these questions, and you could ask yourself some of the deepest, most profound philosophical questions that a human being could possibly ask, and you can realize for yourself what's going to light you up, what is going to light your spirit up inside of you, what's going to turn that dial of consciousness up more and more and more and more and more to allow your spirit to shine through and allow your light to pierce through even brighter. And for me, that's making videos, that's speaking, that's writing my book, that's podcasting, that's talking to people like you. It's actively creating intelligently. It's like unconditional love is speaking through me. It's just what it feels like. It's like there's no thought behind it. It's just all pouring out spontaneously, and that's because I feel I'm connected to that wellspring of, love, creativity, intelligence, and grace. And that's what you're connected to. That's what we're all connected to. That's what we all are. Ironically, is that it's reality is the paradox. So it's we are that, but we're not that, because we take ourselves to be these finite egos, the ego self, but we're actually the infinite context that's behind that allows for the ego self to be known. So the ego self is still there. As long as you're alive in a human body, you're going to have an ego. You're going to have an ego self. But what happens is that the ego self is like your joystick. It's like your controller that's connected to reality. So when you change your identity, you change your interface with reality. And then reality will then change for you based on the identity that you put out into the world. So it's like it's a reflection. Your mind is your mirror. Reality is the mirror. It's a reflection of you. And that is if you dread going to work on Monday, if you dread Mondays, waking up and doing it all over again, do something else. Do something else. Find something else to do. Find something else that is possible for yourself, and go all out. Like, figure that out. Like, you gotta, like, this is life. This is life full on. This is your gift. Like, don't waste it just working for some job in an office because you're doing well, and you're vice president of the company, and you're making a good amount of money, and blah 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 blah. It's like, all that's bullshit. Like, figure out what makes you happy. Figure out who you are. And that's what I feel purpose is. So yeah, I mean, that was for me the biggest thing was finding my purpose based on what I was attracted to, and then finding the enlightenment teachings. And I guess for you, what do you think enlightenment is? What do you take enlightenment to be? What's your opinion on it? Do you think it's kind of like a paradox? It's kind of like a joke. It's because it's already the case. It's tapping into that frequency and the creativity, the peace that comes with that. What do you think? What's your opinion?
I think enlightenment is a very complex but simple concept. And so many people make it out to be this thing on top of a mountain. Like, I have to reach enlightenment, I have to seek enlightenment, I have to try and figure out how do I become enlightened. But really, enlightenment at the core is what you are. You are enlightened already if you actually recognize your true self. It's just the recognition that you're not the mind, you're not the physical body, you're not the thoughts that come into your head. And when you can recognize that those thoughts are just fleeting, it's kind of a hard thing for most people to grasp, but you are able to access the state of enlightenment whenever you want. It's really just the present moment, as I was talking about earlier. It's just like you are feeling the present moment, and you are in a state of enlightenment. Whether or not you make it this big deal, oh, I'm enlightened or whatever. But I feel like a lot of people, if they say they're like, oh, I'm enlightened, I figured it all out, then maybe you're not quite there. That's kind of the paradox of it, is like figuring out how to be present without feeling like, oh, I'm present, I'm the best ever, I'm so good because I'm feeling present. But it really just is, it is that present moment state. It's like, enlightenment is so hard to explain with words, at least for me, because it's just a feeling of no judgment, no ego, no thoughts bogging you down. It's like I felt it so many times, and I felt like, oh, this is what I've been looking for. But it's just kind of just, you are just being. You're just being here. And you're just experiencing whatever you're experiencing at the moment. You can be in that state of enlightenment whenever you choose, as long as you just let go of the thoughts that might be coming into your head. It's like, I can be any place at any time, and I can feel like, oh, I'm just here. And that to me is enlightenment. I'm just here. I'm just experiencing. I'm just like, holy, like, this is what I've been looking for all along. So many people are seeking enlightenment. They're seeking the truth, and they get caught in like the journey to like feeling better, or I need to get this and then I'll feel happy. But really, it's just there. It just is. That's the crazy thing about enlightenment, as we call it. It's really just you being and just you experiencing, because you're not your thoughts, you're not your beliefs. While those can be good, while you can transform your beliefs to believe that you are a different version of yourself and it can benefit you, but enlightenment to me is really just being. And in whatever circumstances you're in, just accepting the present moment as it is, and accepting it as if you had chosen it, as Eckhart Tolle says, which really resonates with me. It's like, I just accept this moment as if I had chosen it. I experience it for all that it is, and I am here. But it's like, it doesn't seem as extravagant as some sort of things that we talk about, I guess in the so-called spiritual community. It's like some things seem better than that. But it's really the best feeling you can have to just be. That's the only way I can really describe enlightenment to myself, is just like, I am just fully being present. You can access this state through meditation, you can access it through other things, but when you make your life a meditation, that's a different level, where it's like you're just going through life as if it's a meditation. You're feeling in a meditative state while you're doing mundane tasks. You're doing, the old saying, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. So you're like doing these things from a certain state before, where you might be like, oh, I gotta chop wood and I gotta carry water. I gotta do this. This sucks. But then after enlightenment, you're still doing the same thing, but you're doing it from a certain perspective, where it's like, oh, I'm fully present with this. I'm experiencing it on a level that I never thought I could experience. And that's probably the most difficult thing that I like, the difficult topic that I have, which is the most important topic. It's like trying to explain it to my friends or family, or people that don't really get this. It's the concept of enlightenment, the concept of being present, that is the most difficult for me to explain, because it's so hard to explain with words. It's just like, you just are. You're trying to explain something with words that is beyond words. You're trying to comprehend it with the mind, but it's not the mind. It's something beyond the mind. It's something that is within your soul, that you are experiencing from that perspective, where you can witness the thoughts, you can witness the things that are going on around you, but it's not actually that. It just is. And to me, that is enlightenment. It's like, I'm not saying I'm an enlightened guru. I'm not saying I'm better than anyone else, because that would actually be the opposite of enlightenment, which is what some people do. But to me, it's just being. It's just experiencing, and just like taking all of this in and realizing, wow, I'm actually here right now, just seeing everything that's going on, and I'm able to create whatever I want, because I'm not trapped in so many different cycles that most people are trapped in. But that's the best I can answer it, but it's very hard for me to answer that question, because it's like, to me, so what enlightenment is, I'm still kind of discovering that for myself, because I just know it's just me being. I'm just trying to figure out how to articulate that the best that I can. But yeah.
Yeah. No, that was amazing. Dude, that was amazing. That was fucking amazing. Like, what you just That rant that you just went on, that was unfucking believable, bro. That was
Appreciate it, man.
because that's exactly how it is. That's exactly how it is. Like that's exactly how I think of it. It's literally identical to my concept of enlightenment. Enlightenment is when you wake up to just reality. It's coming to wake up to and know reality, just for reality's sake. Just the bright circumstance of consciousness that's appearing as this present moment. That's looking through all of the eyes, and it's just being present with reality, and it's just that reality's on, like on. It's just you are on. Like there's an on switch. It's flipped on, and that consciousness, that aliveness, is what enlightenment is. So it's knowing the true self. It's knowing the aliveness within yourself that is powering your body and the mind. It's like the body and the mind is a cadaver, and the awareness is a electric cord that pierces through it, that gives it life. And that's what we are. That's what we are. And that what that is love. That's love. That's unconditional love. That's the love that is beyond personal love. It's a love that just loves to love. So it's so unconditional, it's so profound that it would destroy us if we fully accepted it, which is what death is. So death is when we merge into that infinite love, and our soul merges with the infinite, and we become one again with God. And the secret is that we're not separate from God already. We're already swimming in the beatific vision. We're swimming in God. We're fully connected at all times with the infinite source of creation. And that's what's creating this bright circumstance of reality. That's what the self, the source of that conscious awareness within you, is the self, which is not different from God. And that's what I think enlightenment is from my point of view. It's becoming aware of that, investigating, coming to investigate the nature of yourself, the true nature of who you are, finding out what that is, and then embodying that for the rest of your life. And you don't even have to do anything. It just happens on its own when you can just be present with life, and you're just so in the moment that you forget about enlightenment. You forget about reaching a certain state or reaching a certain peak of mystical experiences and altered states of consciousness, and you release all that. You give all that up. You surrender all that, and you just surrender to the present moment, and you surrender to life as it is, and you realize that that was the gift all along. That was the treasure. Life itself, being, experiencing love, friendships, relationships, experiences, memories, having children, falling in love, the physical experience, tasting the food, watching the movies, going to the beach, waking up in the morning and going outside and having a cup of coffee. Like, it's just relish in this physical experience. You're not going to get it again in this body, at least. You're not going to get it in this specific body mind. So this is your only shot to get this right with this particular life. And becoming enlightened is fully embodying that and realizing that you're already home. You're already whole and complete because you're alive. And that love that you're going to give yourself because of the sacredness that's within your own aliveness, cherishing that, relishing in that, and loving that, is then going to expand and shower everybody that you come in contact with. And you're going to become a fountain of love, and you're going to give from a wellspring that's already full within you, and your cup is going to be overflowing, and you're going to be able to just give and give and give and give and give. And it's going to be so much that you have to create. You have to expand. Start a business, start a YouTube channel, write a book, start a blog, start a vlog, and you're gonna light up your corner of the world. And that's what we're both doing with our channels. And it's amazing to see, it's amazing to see the evolution take place.
Yeah, it's the craziest thing, because I feel like so many people out there are looking for enlightenment, looking for a solution, but it's right there. It's already there. And I guess maybe that's why it's hard to explain this to the mainstream, you could say. Because people are so used to, I guess, looking for solutions outside of themselves. They're looking for a definitive answer that's just going to be like, oh, you have to do this and then you'll get this. But it's kind of like different. It's like takes a bit of self-reflection. I feel like many people that come to this conclusion have had a lot of experiences within their life that have led them to that point. They've kind of had rejection or had feelings of unworthiness, feelings of a lot of painful feelings lead people to a spiritual awakening, and that's what I've seen the pattern, at least the people I've interacted with. A lot of people have gone through a lot of things, myself included, to where they've gotten to that point. And that's why I find it difficult to explain to a lot of people, because you're trying to explain the almost unexplainable, because it just is like you just are conscious, you just are experiencing these things, but you don't even realize that you are the one witnessing it. You know, it's like, who's behind your eyes? Who's the one that's actually seeing the things happen? Things are happening, thoughts are coming up, but who's witnessing those thoughts? And that's the craziest concept to me, but it's like the craziest real, when you actually like feel it, when you actually see it, it's the craziest thing.
It's the craziest thing that anybody will ever, because it's like it's directly shining the spotlight of attention on awareness itself. It's putting awareness back onto itself, and it's looking for the looker, looking for the one that looks. You know, and
It's
it's fucking nuts. It's like you're left speechless, and you're just left in the awe and wonder of existence and life itself, and you can witness the sacredness of all of life. You could witness the sacredness of existence, and you can just come to love this experience more and more and more, and continue to give back, continue to create, continue to fine-tune your body and your body mind vehicle, your biomechanical, expression, vehicle of expression that your body is. And it's just amazing there's a great Buddhist quote that says, to be born a human indicates that you have very, very, very good karma, and that you have a very good karma to have been born a human, and to be fortunate enough to experience a human birth and to live a human life, because it's a gift, and it has to be treated as one. It can't be passed up. Yeah, so I think for anybody starting out on this journey of self-actualization and pursuing their own gifts and pursuing their own dream life, is you got to stay focused, and you got to focus, like I always say, focus on the day, and create a distraction-free life. Start journaling, buy a journal, and get to bed at the same time every night, and wake up at the same time every morning. Get your circadian rhythms in order. Start a morning and nighttime routine. When you get up in the morning, get up and do something. Do a couple push-ups. Go outside. Look at the sunrise. Start your day off slow. Walk barefoot on grass. Have a cup of coffee. Meditate. Pray. And write down your goals for the day and what you want to accomplish. And then watch your diet. Watch what you're eating. Watch what you're consuming. Watch the movies that you watch. Watch the people that you hang around with. Where does your energy go? What is your energy affected by? What is your energy influencing? Like, all this stuff is... You have to start watching yourself like a hawk. Watch yourself like a hawk, and you'll see that you're driven by primal animalistic behaviors. A lot of your reptilian brain is in action in your day-to-day life because it's trying to survive. It's trying to keep you safe, happy, fluffy, and enjoying whatever it is that you're currently doing. And you're having fun. You're getting what you want. And you want to have that primal pleasure-seeking impulse in check. And you want to have self-discipline to the highest degree possible. And you want to be able to direct your body and mind, direct your decisions, direct your choices, direct your will, and where you want to put your energy. Because where your energy goes awareness flows. Where your energy goes, awareness flows, and you go. And and you just have to figure out what it is that you want, figure out what it is that you want to create, figure out who it is that you want to be. And if you could live your best life, ask yourself, what would that life look like? And you'll be surprised by the answers that you find within yourself.
Well, shit! I don't know how to respond to that, but I'm going to do my best. Advice for people. There's a lot of things I could say, but I think most of all, just try and do what you're passionate about, because it will lead you to so many avenues that you didn't know were possible. If you're actually like following some sort of passion that you have, doors will open up. It will awaken you spiritually. It will awaken you. It will just change your life like dramatically, because when I started following my passion, my life just changed. And also just like just being a genuinely nice person, being a person that's trying to help other people will actually give you benefits. Believe it or not, what you put out is what you get back. Like if you're genuinely trying to help somebody, it will pay you back so much more than you actually believe. Like a lot of people don't, not to do it just for that reason. That's the difference. It's like if you're doing it because you think you're going to get something back, it's a different energy than to do it just because it feels good to give. And because you are doing things for people that it just feels good in your heart to give, and getting back because of that, it's a lot different than if you're doing it just because, oh, I think I'm going to get something out of this. I need to do this because it's going to help me. That's a way different energy. But like genuinely trying to help people, genuinely trying to raise the vibration, the consciousness of this planet, it is going to pay you back in so many ways that you don't even probably realize right now. And that's the advice that I'd give to people, is just to be yourself. It's such a cliche thing. It's like, oh, be yourself, but to be authentic is to not rob other people of the real you. A lot of people are robbing so many people off the real them, me included in the past, and even sometimes now, where I don't show people my channel or tell people how I really feel, which can be appropriate in some circumstances. Maybe you don't want to spring a lot of this information onto other people, but there is power in actually being the most authentic version of yourself. And I think that will help so many people, because you feel free, you feel open. It's like your life opens up because you are being the most authentic version of yourself, and that's all you can really do. And to just be, to just experience, you are doing more than most people. Being in the present moment fully, and like actually experiencing the present moment, you're doing more than 99% of people. I mean, I'm sorry to say it, but that's where we've gotten as a society. Most people don't fully experience the present moment. Most people are always caught up in their head. Most people are always seeking the next thing. Most people are always trying to be better than somebody else, be jealous, be envious. It's like, to be somebody that is actually fully entrenched in the present moment, it's actually you're doing better than so many people. And on the external, it might not seem like that. It might seem like, well, I'm not doing as good as them because they've just gotten this new job and they seem to be doing all this stuff. you're going to be better than those people, and not in an ego-based sense, but I'm just saying what you get from that, what you will get from the next few years of embodying that present moment energy, it's going to outweigh all of the BS you see from other people around you. And that's kind of the journey I'm on, so I can relate to that. But I know, let's just say I start doing spiritual coaching. I've been scared of doing that for a while because of the repercussions that will come with it, because I have to like explain to random people I meet like, "Oh, I'm coaching people," and they're like, "What are you coaching people on?" "Oh, I'm coaching people on this thing I call a spiritual awakening." It's kind of weird, but I have to come to that conclusion, and I have to come to grips with that. It's like that's okay. So if you have something that's a little bit out there, it's a little bit different that you want to do, I encourage you to do it, because if you know it can work, would you rather just be like everybody else and kind of, in a way, waste your life? I'm not saying everybody's wasting their life, but sometimes it can feel that way, you know. Would you rather be unhappy, stuck in a job that you don't really like, or would you rather do what you love to do every day, but maybe come across a little bit weird to people? Long answer, but that's how I feel, you know. There's so much more we can build on this in future videos, but like, that's all I gotta say. Go ahead, man.
This is the start of something special. This is the start of something great. Hopefully, there's going to be many, many more moments that we can connect in the future and go off on tangents with a million other different topics. And I'm just happy we were able to do this. I'm happy we were able to connect and make this vid for everybody. This is everybody that watches this is going to be in for a treat. And it was special doing this, brother. Thank you for having me on. It's been a real pleasure.
Everybody that wants to follow my man Derek, you can find him at The Journey Within on YouTube. I'm going to have it linked in the description and the pinned comment. You can buy his merch, which will probably also be in the description, probably the pinned comment as well. But anything else you want to promote, just let them know.
No, that's it, brother. Yeah, so, my channel is The Journey Within. I've been making videos for the last 10 days. I'm up to 50 videos on my channel. So I'm putting out content every single day for you guys. People that come check me out, I'd love to have the support. I'd love to show you guys what I'm doing over there at that other side of YouTube. And like you said, I'm also doing merch. So I just dropped my website. Journey Co. is my clothing brand name. So we got 20 pieces out now on my website, and I'd love to have you guys support me on the journey and show you guys my story. So that's it, brother. You hit everything home.
Yes, it was very great to have him on here. We have, if you're watching like the full thing right now, we're gonna have clips coming up. If you're watching a clip, I doubt this will be in it, but we're going to have a lot of clips coming up. We're going to have multiple like conversations like this where I prepare more questions. He prepares more questions. We have more things that we can dive into. It's just really our first time kind of connecting on video, but we have so much we can talk about, and I think it'll be really beneficial to a lot of people. So that's all I got to say. I love you all. Universal crystals forever.